5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. This is the podcast where my co-host and I get together and we listen to all the craft beer podcasts locally based here in Cincinnati from the previous week. We meet at BC's Bottle Lodge, Montgomery, our gracious podcast host, and then we give our version of how those podcasts went. Now, hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other shows. Yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
It's all good.
It's all good. And, I am Marco. I am a brewer and a bartender here locally, and I am going to introduce the best co-host in Podcast Landia.
I am Julia, and I just drink all the beers in the greater Cincinnati area. That is my main claim to fame. Every now and then I'll write some funny stuff about the beers, but for the most part, I just drink it. Any good beer podcast, as you all know, starts with having good craft beer. We've got to be drinking some beer while we are recording. And I'll start with mine. Mark is a little preoccupied at the moment. I am drinking Fathead's Snob Collab IPA. S-N-O-B. I forget who it's a collab with. I didn't look it up before I started talking. That's my bad. It's a 7% IPA. Good, crisp, clean. It's really, really delicious. And Marco, what about you? What's in your glass right now?
I am having Sonder Brewing's Voss.
Hell yeah.
So I switched it up.
You did.
I had been having Rally Cap, and now I have a Voss.
I have a feeling that we'll both end up with rally caps at some point before the night is over.
Probably.
It's still on slow pour.
More than likely,
We have to.
Yeah, there's an excellent chance that is going to happen.
Yes. So we have our beers. We have our intro out of the way. Did you happen to listen to any Cincinnati craft beer podcast today?
I did, and I'm also going to say, for those of you who this is your first show, thank you for coming on board with us. For those of you who've been along with us for the ride, thank you for your time. I truly hope all of you enjoy it. And if you do, Julia, before I get into what podcast we're going to cover, if you do, what should they do?
They should follow, subscribe, review, share, tell their friends, their family, their coworkers, people they don't even know. They should just walk down the street yelling, listen to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. It is the best Cincinnati craft beer podcast recap podcast out there.
That's right. We're the number one.
We are the number one.
The number one
podcast that recaps Cincinnati craft beer podcasts.
Correct. Number one.
If they want to follow us and see pictures and random posts and know when our episodes come out, they can do that on all of the big social media platforms. We are at Truth Beer Pod. You can send us an email if you have some ideas. That is truthbeerpod@gmail.com. You can go to truthbeerpod.com and click on the big blue support us link if you'd like to toss us a couple of bucks so that we can either upgrade our equipment or just buy some more beers to have during the show. And if you happen to have any complaints about the show, you can send those via Twitter to @RagingHop. And I know we've said it a couple times, but we actually remembered to print out a few of the complaints that we've gotten.
Yep.
That Raging Hop has been kind enough to kind of filter through and send our way. So at the end of the episode, we'll be letting you know what a couple people aren't too happy with us about, or some suggestions that they have for us to improve the quality of the show.
Yeah, and we just lean into it,
Yeah.
It's all good. So thank you for that. All right, so what did we listen to, Julia?
Well, I listened to the Jungle Gyms International podcast where they talked to 50 West about the newest beer in their Road to the Jungle beer series. How about you?
I actually watched it on YouTube since it is a new feature for that podcast, so I watched it on YouTube.
Very nice, very nice. How about the Craft Parenting podcast, episode 56, where they went over the golden age of Cincinnati craft beer?
Of course.
All right. Sonder Stories, chapter 93, where they talked about their root beer float ale.
I listened to that, it feels like 3 weeks ago, but yes, I listened to it last week.
And it was the most chaotic podcast this week, Shift Beers.
That's nothing new.
No, but this was especially chaotic.
Yeah, they had a few things going on there. So
they definitely did.
We'll cover that then.
All right. And producer David is here tonight. So if there is anything that we just randomly chime in about, it's more than likely because David has provided us with some little tidbits that we failed to mention. So Thank you for being here. I don't know how much we owe the Gnarly Gnome for renting us
David.
his producer.
Or David.
David, yes. Even though I still feel like I do a better job of producing the Weekly Pint than David does.
Yeah.
However, it is nice to have another set of hands in the mix as we're recording to kind of point out some things that we're missing.
Yeah, you do a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. So what podcast do you want to get started with? Do you want to spin the wheel? Do you want to just jump into something?
I just want to
do?
jump in.
Okay,
I think with what we listened to last week, I think we ought to start, just hot right out of the gate, Craft Parenting Pod.
The hottest of the hot when it comes to Cincinnati Craft Beer Podcast. So this episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast, episode 56, The Golden Age of Craft Beer. See, it was pretty much about how did craft beer get to Cincinnati after Prohibition, after all the things changed, all the laws changed. There was a brewery in 1995 that opened up in Over the Rhine, and that is where it all started again with craft beer in Cincinnati. It was called the Barrel House, and because this is kind of a historical recap of it's an educational podcast more than a conversational podcast. So this is going to be kind of a quicker recap to where I just touch over some of the main points because I want you to listen to the episode and not just base, what we're saying as the only things that the podcast did. Let's see. In 1995, it started in Over the Rhine again with the Barrel House. A lot of the riots that happened in that time held off on a lot of the other breweries and businesses from opening at the time. But OTR, some of the areas that the breweries were opening in, still considered kind of shady. They still are now, but definitely not anywhere near as shady as they were back in 95. After that, let's see, we had Rock Bottom and Hofbrau, which even though Hofbrau's in northern Kentucky, or I don't know, maybe that's the brewery that shall not be named due to certain events
that one night in Newport.
That one night in Newport, yeah. If you know, you know. If you don't know, check out thenarlygnome.com and search for Hofbrau House and enjoy the amazing story that is
right.
that is that experience. Next, they talked about Mount Carmel. That was kind of the next that started up. And then they also went into Listerman, Rivertown, Blank Slate, how there was no place to sit in a lot of these places because the laws didn't allow breweries to have tap rooms until farther along in the craft beer history throughout Cincinnati.
Right.
Let's see, what else was there? Dan Listerman, he is considered the grandfather of Cincinnati craft beer, if I can get the words out. Mad Tree's founders got a lot of their first homebrew kit, a lot of their start from equipment they purchased from Listerman.
Yep.
They talked a little bit about, and again, I don't want to go over everything that they talked about because I definitely want you to listen to the episode and really dive into the history of Cincinnati craft beer. They read the entire list of current Cincinnati craft breweries from the best Cincinnati craft brew website out there, thenarlygnome.com.
Yep.
They read the entire list. I think he said 63 according to the list. But it also, as David pointed out, it depends on what list you're looking at.
So that's like an hour.
And your qualifiers. And your qualifiers for what is a craft brewery versus just a tap room that doesn't brew in the space. There are so many qualifiers to all of this, and we don't have time to go into that. Listen all the way through, because near the end of the episode, the smack talk that they had about being on shift beers, holy cow. If Chris doesn't refund Caroline's $499 or turn that against him since it didn't work to kill you off, Marco.
Yeah.
That may start a small war there. So definitely check that out. And Caroline had
Who?
Caroline
There you go.
had an amazing idea. She was talking a little bit about beer fridges and my lack thereof.
Right.
She said that what I need, what Josh and I need, is not a beer fridge, but a walk-in beer cooler.
Oh, it's a great idea.
And I have to say, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That is an absolutely perfect idea. I love it. So, Josh, when you listen to this, let me know, or, well, I'll know by your face if you've listened to it or not. But yes, we will definitely need to be talking to a contractor about building a walk-in cooler on the side of our house for beer. Beer fridges won't do it for me anymore. I need bigger.
Yep.
I need big.
Yeah.
And this is what we're doing. But that's what I had for Craft Parenting Podcast. It was good. I really liked the more recent dig into Cincinnati craft beer history that this episode provided, and it was a lot of fun. What'd you think?
I think you covered it all, Julia. I mean, couldn't have taken better notes.
All right. Well, that was Craft Parenting Podcast. Definitely check them out. They are on Facebook and Instagram. They have a whole blog, craftparentingpodcast.com. It's always a fun time. It's always a good listen.
They're on YouTube as well.
They are on YouTube. They just recently started posting all their episodes out there as well. So give them a follow, and let's move on to podcast number 2. What are you thinking?
I think Jungle Jams.
Jingle Jams? Well,
International Podcast.
Yeah, let's do the Jingle Jams International Podcast. It is making a sour beer with 50 West. Now, this was a cool episode because, as you said, you watched it on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
I listened to it on my podcast app, so we both got very different experiences out of the same podcast. But I think one of the same experiences that we both had was the deal squeal.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me your
Deal
thoughts
squeal.
on the deal squeal.
It's interesting. Look, I think it's a segment that they're still vetting out, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel that tying a deal, a grocery deal into the podcast is
I think that's a brilliant idea. Yeah,
right?
100%.
True
Yeah,
to brand.
yeah.
I mean, the noise that they started with is unique.
Yes, that is an excellent descriptor for it. And yeah, I think that for what they do, what they're providing. So producer Ben is coming around, checking our glasses, making sure that we are well taken care of. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. So the deal squeal has nothing to do with beer. It has nothing to do with what we typically recap so far. But it was part of this episode. It is very on brand. It is very fitting for the Jungle Jim's International Market Podcast. I have no issues whatsoever with what they're doing there.
So let me reenact in my own version how the deal squeal went, right?
All right, let's do this.
If you want to make
Marco
your
impersonation,
insert your own deal squeal music or out-of-body experience noise here. And so the host goes, hey, we have, what's his name from, what's his department? Like, how you doing? I've been on the show before. Okay, good. And he's like, all right, what deal you got? I got a heck of a deal for you right now. Oh, you do? Yeah, I got a deal. Let me tell you about this deal. You see this? This is a bag of smoothie mix, frozen fruit smoothie mix, 2-pound bag, frozen fruit smoothie mix. I don't know. It was like, $12.99 frozen fruit smoothie mix, whatever. Oh, yeah? But you got a deal. Oh, yes, absolutely. I have a deal. If you go into the international side of Jungle Jim's and you pull out frozen fruit, I have this bag of frozen fruit, not actually the same fruit. Not the same. Why would I pick the same fruit? You want a different smoothie? You want to save a little money? I'm the guy you need to see. Different smoothie, save a little money. I know you had a 2-pound bag. I got a 1.5-pound bag over here. And I got this 1.5-pound bag over here. It's got like marshmallows and like strawberries, and it has little bits. It has like trail mix in it with the fruit, and it's international because they love it in the international aisle. And this is only $6.99. Okay,
it's a deal.
I know you came in for the pineapple, but I got this over here, half the price.
And that's pretty much how it went.
It's my truth, at least.
It is 100% your truth. It is my truth as well. And then they started talking about 50 West brewing the third beer in their Road to the Jungle beer series.
Yep.
Which is the main reason why we are talking about them today. Jake Roller, I think I can read my own handwriting, maybe. He is one of the brewers. He used to work at Jungle Jim's. Gave a really good description about what a sour beer is, what the different fruits that they used for this one. He actually had a really, really good point about taking 3 sips of really any style, but any beer that you get, but especially sours, give it 3 sips before you make a final judgment call on it. Which I think is really good advice.
It's advice I've heard before, in the industry or when you go someplace and you want to taste something that you haven't tried before.
Correct.
I mean that's fair advice, and what it is just being fair to that product, right? Whatever it is.
Right. So this beer, this sour that 50 West and Jungle Jim's are brewing up, which again is only available at both Jungle Jim's location, both in cans and on tap. It has pine berries, which are a white strawberry, and pink pineapple, which sounded really interesting. Watching it, did they actually show those fruits in the YouTube video form of the podcast?
I remember seeing the berry.
The white strawberry or pink strawberries?
Yeah, the white strawberry.
Nice.
I don't remember seeing the pineapple.
The pink pineapple? Okay.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure how much extra
could have been in
content
there. I
you
just don't
got
remember.
in the video versus just listening
Well,
to
if that
it.
was the only thing I was doing or watching at the time, I just...
So I did go back. I did go to the YouTube. I went to the YouTube. Good God.
All of them?
I went to all of the YouTubes and I found this episode and just kind of clicked through because I'd already listened to the episode. And they actually did show them cutting up the fruit. The strawberries just looked like underripe strawberries.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like.
Is that what they are though? Or is that...
I don't know.
I don't know. Jungle Gyms, let us know. Reach out to us on social media and let us know, are pink strawberries fully ripe strawberries that are just white mostly in color, or are they just non-ripe strawberries that...
Alabaster. They were
Yes, alabaster in color. Very nice descriptor there. They talked about how some sours can take, only weeks to make. Some can go on for years in the case of like the lambic style sours. This is a beer that is only going to take a few weeks to make, so it's not something that you're going to have to wait years and years and years before Jungle Jim's has it. The cotton candy glop seltzer, grape
seltzer, cotton candy grape.
Sorry, the handwriting threw me for a loop. But yeah, I believe next in their line of beers is going to be a seltzer, and cotton candy grape is going to be the next flavor. So they're going to be rivaling Birkus in the cotton candy aspect of that. So that'll be very interesting. They were asked the question, will there be a durian fruit beer eventually?
Ooh.
Confirmed, yes, that is my truth. They did talk about it a little bit. I'm saying that they confirmed that it is going to happen. I think that there probably is another local brewery that seems like they would have done it.
Urban Artifact has done it, right?
Have they? I don't
durian
know.
Fruit?
It sounds like something that is right up their alley that they would have done.
Well, how far do you live from Urban Artifact?
Like 10 minutes, 15 minutes of traffic.
You would have smelled it.
I would have smelled it from my house.
Yeah.
If they made it. I'd be interested. I've never had durian fruit. I've heard that it tastes amazing if you can get past the smell.
And the smell smells like rotting corpses?
Yes.
I mean, it's sounds delicious.
I don't want to judge.
And there's signs like where people show up to a hut to get a snack. There are even signs like do not eat durian fruit on the train and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, I will say, do not judge a book by its cover and do not judge a beer by its smell. Sometimes the smell definitely lets you know, like that 90-minute IPA can that we cracked a little earlier.
That was suspect.
Busted.
Yeah.
busted like a can of biscuits. Teen Zoo. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, by Urban Artifact. It was a farmhouse ale, and they used the durian fruit. Thank you, David. That's awesome. I kind of wish I would have gotten a chance to try that if I would have known it was out there.
Where did he get that suit?
I'm telling you, that suit was something spectacular. It matches with the background of the Jungle Jim's podcast studio. He must have had that custom made.
Yeah.
That's got to be like Gianni Versace or something like that. That's got to be a custom made suit. So definitely check out the Jungle Jim's International podcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
The visuals are absolutely amazing. The YouTube video, because again, I just kind of clicked through to see if I had missed anything special that the audio-only podcast didn't provide. It ended properly. The audio-only podcast that you download on your podcatcher, 5 minutes of dead air at the very end. So if you hear that and you're thinking, oh, is something going to happen? It doesn't.
Right. There's nothing.
No spoilers, nothing. I just wanted to let you know. Whee! So, but no, I like this one. I'm really excited to see what 50 West and Jungle Jim's, how this pink fruit-based sour turns out. And I'm excited to see what beer style they come up with next. Because so far they've had an IPA, they've had a stout.
And now a sour.
So yeah. I'm really interested to see where they branch out to next.
Probably a brown ale.
It's got to be a brown ale. Those are super popular in the area.
Yeah.
They sell incredibly well.
Brown ale.
Especially here at BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery.
With kidney beans.
Not fava beans? I guess it depends on the mood you're in.
Yeah.
You know, if you want more of a richer meat
Right.
kind of thing, or
having it with a nice Chianti.
All right. So that's 2 of the podcasts that we have to cover. We still have Sonder Stories and Shift Beers. I am going to, well, I think I'm still...
We can take a few minutes.
All right, let's take a real quick break. We only
Yeah.
have 2 podcasts left to cover, and then we're going to dig into our complaints. We have a few complaints to talk about. I know that producer Ben just brought you a fresh table service.
I know.
We got table service for the
half
first
gone.
time in the 40-plus weeks that we have done this show. We had beers delivered directly to us. Amazing. Absolutely
Ben
amazing.
cares.
Ben does care.
He's caring.
He's the producer that we've always needed, just never had.
All right, y'all, back in 2 and 2.
All right, we'll be right back, guys. We're back.
We are.
We are back.
That was quick.
That was very quick. Very, very, the quickest of quick breaks.
Yeah.
For you and I.
Yep.
All right, so we have 2 podcasts to go. We have Sonder Stories and Shift Beers. What would you like to tackle next?
I feel like we end on shift beers often.
We do.
So let's do that.
So end on Shift Beers?
Yeah, let's end on Shift Beers.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So Sonder Stories. This is Chapter 93, Root Beer Float Ale with Eric from the Root Beer Stand.
Yep.
I will say, first and foremost, this was a baseball podcast.
Yeah.
They definitely went
A lot
over
of baseball.
all things baseball. It was Chad, Justin, and Danny, and Eric.
Really?
Yes, I know. Shocker from the get-go.
Yeah.
But then they also had Eric Burrows from the Root Beer Stand.
Certainly seemed like they had a lot of chemistry. A lot of it seems like they've. Hell, he could be part of Sonder as smooth and as just bouncing off each other. The chemistry was and all that. It seemed like they number one, they have fun, so it's a fun episode, and number 2, it seems like the chemistry is just there. It's on. So.
And I feel like that's the case for most of the guests that they have, and even farther than that, most of the people and businesses that they associate with, if they can't have a friendship with them, that business relationship feels like it's not going to work out as well as if it is purely a business relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah. I will throw out one thing, and then I won't mention again because they have not mentioned the unnamed taco place in a very long time. They kind of threw it out this episode in just saying unnamed taco place.
Yeah.
If they do not know, Unnamed Taco Place is coming back with the Mexican pizza on May the 19th.
It's huge.
I'm telling you. Huge news.
Huge.
So,
Big.
Danny,
Big
Justin, Chad, Jessica, if you happen to listen to this, I'm just throwing it out there.
Right.
You may need to recheck for a sponsorship.
So I knew the root beer stand was closed for 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
I knew that. I have to be honest. I have never been to the root beer stand, even though it's right there in Sharonville, right?
Right. Yeah. I've driven past it, but yeah, I also have not been there. But after this episode, I definitely want to go and have. What did they say you needed to get?
There's a bunch. There's dogs.
There's dogs. There are burgers. There are all kinds of things. So and this is later on in the episode, but when you go, if you get a triple chat and a 6-inch chili dog, you'll never have to eat again.
Right. Because that was the Chattanooga.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big ass burger.
Yes. You know who is from Chattanooga?
Shit. Lee.
Yeah. Tying things together there.
Yeah, very good.
Why not?
No, that works. So, again, a lot of fun. They had a really good chemistry talking about the beer. And, of course, they talked about the beer from last year and some changes that they made for this year.
Correct. Yeah, this year it is more of an ale and not a milkshake IPA.
Well, it's still an ale.
It's still I am. We are just repeating. We are just
Right. I know.
recapping what they said on the podcast.
I know,
there's
but
not
there's-
additional.
I totally
You're not
understand.
wrong. You're not wrong.
I totally understand. And somebody made a comment on social media. They said, "Oh, so it's an ale this year." Well, it was last year
it
too.
was last year, but yeah, last year was hopped in all kinds of stuff. Additional things happened. I mean, maybe
Yeah, it's more ale.
it's more ale.
It's
than
more
it was.
ale.
Yes.
Yes,
I
they
didn't-
leaned into the more ale part.
I did not see any single cans of it in the cooler here at BC's. Otherwise, I would have. Although it has lactose, Danny did confirm
not
that
in
for
on
me.
that.
So thank you so much, Danny, for reaching out
No,
and just confirming.
I want everybody to enjoy the beer. I'm sure the beer's delicious. Yeah, I can't have
I definitely want to try it. I had the frosted version. It was all right. I mean, it just. I know what they were going for. They hit what they were going for. It just wasn't for me, which is fine. I mean, nothing against Sonder root beer stand. It just wasn't something that worked for me. So I'd love to try this year's version to see.
Of course, and it's a fun
differences, yeah.
it's a fun collaboration. It's a fun thing that they believe that number one, because of the chemistry and the friendship they have, and number two, because of the history, the legacy of the root beer stand itself. So you get to learn a little bit of the history of the root beer stand. By the way, there was a big root beer brand that way back before I was born. Used to be branded as a particular root beer stand, and the way that roads, highways, and all that stuff were. I mean, a lot
Gravel
of people,
roads, yeah.
a lot of people would drive into not just the big trucks and tractor trailers, but a lot of families would stop and have a burger and cool off with a nice root beer.
Now, is this the same root beer place that tried to sell a 3rd-pound burger, but it couldn't sell because Americans are idiots and they thought that a 3rd pound is less than a 1/4 pound? Well, 4 is bigger than 3, so obviously the 1/4 pound burger is bigger. Good freaking Lord. Come on, people.
The maths.
Come on, people. You're not helping anyone out with this.
So there was a long history with this root beer brand, and then there was eventually just a parting where the brand itself, they weren't going to continue with the brand, but they wanted to continue with the root beer stand.
Correct, yes. And that root beer stand, as producer David pointed out, they had parking lot chili dogs long before parking lot tacos.
Ah, yes.
So that is definitely something to keep in mind.
That's true. Very good.
I mean, that's the only place you could eat them. I mean, they did not have a dine-in experience when they first opened.
Yeah.
They had one for a while, and then with COVID, the dine-in thing kind of shut down. And now that they're reopening, they're like, we don't know that we're going to continue with that. And they've had people that have never had to serve people food before.
Right.
Until now because of COVID.
And they're bringing back a fan favorite, which is the frosted mug.
Yes. Where is that in my notes? 2019 was the last time that someone drank a root beer from a cold mug at the root beer stand. So that's pretty exciting for them. They're definitely looking forward to that. They used to have, or I guess they still do, a group of employees to where their name was the Mug Boys, who just needed to wash the mugs, get them ready for the next guest. And some of the
Mug
people,
boys.
Some of them Mug Boys.
The root beer stand and dem Mug Boys.
Them Mug Boys, Jesus. But yeah, some of them Mug Boys have never filled a mug before because they were doing styrofoam.
Yeah.
And now they're back to the mugs. They did talk a bit about the public's response to the new version of the root beer float ale. Most of it was positive, but they did talk about one guy named Jack who just decided that he was having no part of it and only wanted the frosted version.
Well, you know what Jack can do.
What
Fuck
else?
off, Julia. That's the joke. But anyway.
What it is.
They also did talk about business. Of course, I mean, whenever you have anybody on the show that is in business or a business owner, I mean, they do talk a little bit about the past couple of years, how they navigated it, how they were able to come on to this side. I'm not going to comment on whether you call it the other side or whether you call it, whatever. But they are here. They're open. Collaborations happening. Fun listen. And, go get the beer, and we ought to figure a way to grab some burgers or whatnot and have them before we record an episode one day.
No kidding. Currently, the Sonder Root Beer Float Ale is only at Sonder and the bottle shops and locations that they distribute to. You cannot get it at the root beer stand. However, Eric did say that he's working on that. It may still be a year or two out. There's no timeline, no set date in stone, but he is hoping that at some point they might be able to have Sonder beers available at the root beer stand, which would be really, really cool.
Would be.
A couple other points that I had written down when they were talking about baseball, because Sonder Stories is mostly a sports podcast with a slight beer problem.
Right. Or sneakerhead
or
problem.
Sneakers, yes, clothing and sports. Beer just kind of takes a backseat to it most of the time. They were talking about mascots and how much fun it is for like some of the fun mascot social media accounts.
David also pointed out that an excellent idea is being able to serve alcohol at a drive-through root beer stand.
It really is. I mean,
think it's a great idea.
Drinking and driving.
I'm from New Orleans. It's what we do, people.
They talked a lot about baseball in this episode,
yeah.
And they talked a bit about social media accounts of the mascots.
Yeah.
For some of these social media.
Because Danny
accounts.
had a dream job he talked about.
He does. My exact notes had the words "dream job" written down. He would love to be the full-time social media owner for the William Goat mascot once that becomes a full-time permanent thing, and I think he would crush it.
I think he's working his way up to it.
Oh God,
it's going to happen. Danny.
Do you think that when they get the William Goat mascot costume, do you think that Danny will ever take it off, or will that be his new 9-to-5 uniform?
It'd be.
It's whatever.
It'd be his dress code.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think he'll do a great
Try
job.
out.
Either way, yeah. They might have to have mascot auditions.
Yeah,
for
mascot auditions. It's a good idea.
Danny may have some competition. A couple other things that.
Okay, David.
Hey, David's the one.
David
wants in.
David wants in.
Dude,
he's here for that smoke.
Great. No kidding. No kidding. Although I don't think that when you are wearing the William Goat costume, I don't think it's safe for you to try to use hot pokers and beer at the same time.
No, but you got to make sure it's flexible enough to where, if you go and you dance and you do your thing and you can get down into the splits.
Yes.
That you're able to split.
Yes.
In that
do some
William
of the
Goat
breakdancing
costume.
moves where you balance on one arm for a brief second.
Yeah.
This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
This is going to be amazing when it happens.
And then you build up to going to the Sycamore basketball halftime, and then you just jump off a trampoline with a basketball.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes.
Oh no, they're Mason, so it would be Mason High School. You just go to Mason High School,
close
and
enough.
you do a halftime show with the basketball, and then
boom. It'll be awesome. It'll be awesome.
Yep.
Two other notes that I had written down. Justin doesn't want anyone touching his beans.
That's right.
Fair statement.
Yeah, I get it.
And you need to find out what bangers are on Becker's juice list when you listen to this episode, because there were some pretty phenomenal songs on this list.
That's right.
Yes.
The juice list.
Becker's juice list.
If that's not a good enough reason to get you to go listen to the podcast, I don't know what is, Julia.
Well, the only other thing that could get you to listen, Kenny Chesney is back. We are full swing
that's
into Kenny
great.
Chesney season.
That's wonderful.
I know that's your favorite season, Marco.
Oh, yeah, Kenny Chesney season.
Good times, good times. That's all that I have for Sonder Stories. It was another really fun episode with another amazing collaboration partner that they have, so definitely check them out. And if you have any questions on any of Sonder's beers, just reach out to them on social media. They are amazing at getting back to you on, for example, what beers have lactose in them or not. And, they can definitely help make sure that you do not get a beer that is going to cause you pain.
Well, now that the root beer stand collaboration has happened, isn't there, I hope, On Deck is a fun collaboration for the summertime.
In the summertime. Yep.
Yeah. With one of our favorite Sonder Stories guests.
Olivia.
Yeah.
So I may have a slight crush on Olivia, even though I've never seen her, met her, anything like that.
It'd
Purely
be great
based on
is if
Sonder
we went to Kings Island, found her, and then let her know how big of fans we
Yes.
were, and then she just didn't even know
And she's like,
that
this-
who we were or what we were doing.
She'd be
and
like,
she
this is kind of
just
creepy,
made it
but
super
thank you.
creepy.
Yes, yes.
Super awkward.
Yes.
Yeah, shirts,
the more-
T-shirts. I can have my wife make T-shirts.
I love Olivia from Kings
That's right.
Island.
And then another one, I
Sonder
could have one.
Stories sent me.
I could have one that said, "I had a salad."
Yes. And then I'd
Yesterday.
wear one that said weird flex, but okay.
Yeah.
It'll be perfect. Perfect.
I had a
If you
salad.
don't know what we're talking about, you need to just listen to the Kings Island episodes of Sonder Stories. They are absolutely amazing. All the episodes of Sonder Stories are a lot of fun. They definitely give you a nice deep dive into what
Yeah.
happens behind the scenes to make everything Sonder happen.
Yes, and one of their clips in the intro is correct. They're consistently inconsistent. So what's fun about it is you can listen to a couple of episodes, and then they take a break for a couple of episodes, and then they come back for a couple of episodes. So I'm sure that's not what they intend, but honestly, it's okay. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
fine.
Absolutely.
And we are
here
here
to-
for the content when the content comes out.
100%. Anything else before we move on to the shiftiest of beers?
Now, moving on.
All right, moving on to Shift Beers episode 78. Josh and Chris take on Columbus. This episode, we've said before that a few of their episodes are hot messes. This is another hot mess.
Yeah, it's a hot mess. it's a hot mess to the degree where Josh has to come on and give you
And do a
a
separate.
few minutes of solo time to explain why there's a hot mess about to happen.
Yes. So they went up to, Josh and Chris, Beth and Brian were, Brian doesn't exist anyway, but Beth was not present for this trip. Josh and Chris went up to Columbus for the Columbus Winter Beer Fest that happened in the week before May, because that's when winter happens.
Yeah, winter. Yeah,
anymore.
It's winter.
And they went to a couple of bars in the area. They talked to people during the show at the Columbus Beer Fest.
Yep.
And they went to a couple breweries in Columbus after Beer Fest. And that is what this episode was. It was just the two of them drinking beers and talking about the beers that they were drinking. There was, as you said, Josh had a disclaimer in the beginning about the audio quality, which I didn't think was as bad as what Josh made it out to be.
No, it's pretty bad.
There were a couple parts where it was a little hard to hear in this episode, but on a whole, it wasn't. Like I said, the way that he was presenting it made me think I'm not going to be able to understand anything. You can. There's just a lot of background noise.
Yeah, the
that
background
really
noise is
couldn't-
very present.
present. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get used to it. It's fine.
Yeah.
And he explains why at times you can hear one person better than another person. It's a production quality thing. They're at a beer fest. Things
Beer
like
Fest
that
and
happen.
a busy bar. Like they started
Yeah.
off the episode at a bar, and you could tell that it was an incredibly busy time. There were lots of background noise, lots of stuff going on.
Yeah.
They went to a place that had multiple types of Labatt,
Yeah.
and when
Doesn't
that
everybody want to
happens-
do that?
So this should have been a Twisted Tea tip, but it wasn't. But when you go to a place that has more than one kind of Labatt, or at least if you're Josh and Chris, you've got to get all of them.
You got to get all of
You've
them.
got all the different varieties
All
of
the
Labatt,
Labatts.
which in this instance was Labatt and Labatt Light.
Right.
So not a huge selection, but again, Twisted Tea tip.
It was
Gotta
one of
get 'em all.
one of those things where Josh had gone there once, and there was just
There were
a
multiple.
cornucopia of Labatts.
Correct.
And he's like, "We're gonna go, and
Dude,
there's
we're gonna
so
get
many
all the
Labatts. It's
Labatts.
like all the Labatts, and they show up in there too. And we're like, okay, well then we'll
One
have
of each.
both.
Well, and then Josh broke the draft line.
Yeah, what happened there?
I don't want to spoil it. I want people to listen to the episode, but Josh tried to ask for a beer and somehow managed to break the draft line. Oh yeah, I work for a brewery. If you just do this, it'll be fine.
Right.
And the whole thing just
Unlike when you saved the place they
the
don't
place
work
that don't work
at.
at's internet.
Internet,
Yeah. I walk into a place and I fix things. They
Right.
walk into a place and it all just goes to shit.
That tracks.
It definitely tracks. Let's see. Goodwood Brewing, which is Kentucky-based, not Ohio or Columbus-based, they got some breaking news on
That's right.
on some new locations that
Right.
brewery is planning to have, not in the Cincinnati area, but in the close northern Kentucky area, Ludlow
Ludlow.
and Union.
Yeah, Ludlow Union.
They're talking about like 2023 3, 4, 5 maybe. They weren't sure on the exact time frame. So nothing super soon, but in the next couple years, definitely keep your eyes open and your ears peeled for information on Goodwood Brewing.
Yeah, you can have some
area.
Goodwood.
They're currently located out of, I think they said Lexington and Louisville are the 2 closest locations for Goodwood. They went to the Beer Fest, and they were told about the 1986 Balloon Fest in Cleveland, which didn't end well.
Right.
At all.
Yep.
That was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
That they decided to talk about, but they based a beer, or I forget. I don't have what brewery it was that had a beer based off of the 1986 Balloon Fest, but it was a Cleveland brewery.
Listen to it and find out.
Listen to it and find out. Did they bring any of the Feelin' Dangerous Triple IPA from Ill Mannered Brewing back for either of us? That was a big question that I had while listening to the show.
Right.
No one's been able to answer that yet.
Well, no one's reached out, so.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't reached out to them about it either.
Okay.
But it sounded amazing. It was one of the Bussin' No Cap beers that they had up there. Shoo shoo, shwee. I mean, I don't know. I would say we need a button, but I like how we do it. I like our version better than their version.
Okay.
Almost. And then let's see. We need to know if they threw rocks into the river after they went to Nostalgia.
Right.
Yeah, so they went to Nostalgia Brewing. Our favorite person, Sean White, was not there. He was taking care of some family stuff, but they had some amazing beers up there. Mark, when we take our Columbus trip up there to go to Nocterra and Ill Mannered, which is right down the street from Nocterra,
Okay.
and Nostalgia and all that, we are going to have a good time, and we will throw some rocks into the river.
Okay. Sounds good.
It'll be awesome.
I'm all about it. Shoulder will be ready.
Yes. And you can use that to get it warmed up for the Beers, Booze, Bonks, Boinks, Binks, Biscuits, Boobs, Bobcats Festival that's happening sometime this fall, maybe?
Yeah.
We'll see. Fingers crossed. I know that there are talks. It's in the works. Just no official dates, anything like that. But definitely excited for round 2.
Yeah. Excited about that.
Yes.
Fun as always.
Mm-hmm.
Power through the background noise. It's worth the listen.
It is.
And any other notes, Julia?
Just our favorite part of the Shift Beers recap.
Yeah.
Would you like to let everyone know what that is?
I want to let everyone know that there's one show locally that we decided, hey, let's figure out a drinking game for. So what we do is with Shift Beers, we count all of the burps on Shift Beers, and then
the audible burps.
Audible burps. And based off of a sample of 2 ounces, we give you how many ounces in total, and then tell you how many pints you would have had to dome if you were going to do the drinking game along with Shift Beers.
And this episode was a very low burp count, but they were talking to people. This wasn't a show where they were just sitting around drinking, so I expected the burp count to be low. No shame in that. The burp count for episode 78 of Shift Beers, where Josh and Chris take on Columbus, 7 audible burps over the multitude of places that they recorded tiny snippets at. It's okay. I mean, again, they were talking to people at the beer fest. They were talking to the bartenders. The burps weren't their main focus for this episode. So 7 burps, 14 ounces, not even a full pint, 0.875 fifths.
You know what's weird about that is that Chris went
Less
ahead
than a
and
pint.
shared an industry secret, which is bring your own 16-ounce
I'm
cups.
telling you.
If you're with a brewery, bring your own 16-ounce cups.
Yeah. How do you? Hey, you were at a beer fest. Hey, how do you get the big cups? I brought it myself.
Right.
Although I guess it's easy to bring those in when you have a tent at the beer fest. Like
Yeah,
if
it
me
is.
as just like the average consumer,
Oh,
or
yeah,
the average participant
yeah,
tried to walk
good
in
luck
with
with
my
that.
own 16-ounce glass.
They're not going to fill it.
You know what though? They have those collapsible like silicone cups for like cupless races, that kind of thing. I
Yeah.
wonder, just smash that shit down, put it in my pocket, walk up to a tent and say, "Yo, fill up this.
Try
here's,
it.
Here's my ticket. Here's my punch card. We'll see what happens."
No, you can't give a ticket. If
That's
you're
true,
with a
that's
if you're
true.
with a brewery, you I don't think you get tickets.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like me as just the average consumer, the average customer at a beer fest, because
Right.
I have no relation to any brewery anywhere.
Can we pay for a booth and get in a beer fest as a podcast?
Maybe. Let's try that with Beer, Booze, Bonks, Boinks, Binks, and let's see if we can set up like our own table at. we'll see how well that goes over.
Okay.
That covers our recaps for
Yeah.
this week's podcast. What do you say we take a real quick break and then we have some complaints
Okay.
about
Oh,
our
I'm
show
ready. I'm ready.
to go over.
I'm ready.
I want to take a quick break just to get a little break in there because,
Yeah. Because I'm exhausting. So I get it.
I didn't say it. I haven't had to hit the mute button on you in quite a while,
Yeah.
but I do
It's
need.
because other podcasts should have.
You
But
know.
anyways, I didn't say that. Whoops. My bad.
All right, we'll be right back.
All right,
guys.
bye.
We made it.
Hey.
We are back.
All right,
All right.
everyone.
We have a couple of complaints that were sent to Outraging Hop on the Twitters
Yeah.
that we need to let you guys know about because some of these are, nice, creative, constructive criticisms.
Meant to get to them a couple of weeks ago,
and we didn't.
but that's okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to take the first one because the spelling isn't all that great,
Yeah, do it.
and then you take the second, and we'll go
Sure.
from there. So,
Yep.
so the first complaint about our podcast that we got, well, that Raging Hop got, and that he filtered through and provided to us is from a user called the Drankest 5248.
Okay. Very
All right,
good.
whatever
Doesn't
works.
sound like a bot.
No, totally not. I mean, I don't even know if I want to go over how this is spelled, but it's all in caps, which should tell you all you need to know. Your impressions are not all that good, bro. Drank more beers and maybe it'll be more funny. And that's UR for your. The letter R for R, like R not good. Good is spelled G-U-D. Drank more beers and
That's
maybe
great.
it'll be, the letter B, more funny. Although he spelled funny right, so there we go. Or he, she, they. Don't want to project anything
Right.
on them that isn't accurate.
All
So,
the pronouns.
so that was the Drankest 5248. I mean, your impressions, I think, are phenomenal. They are exactly what they are supposed to be for this podcast.
Yeah, anybody who thinks that I sit at home practicing these things is absolutely incorrect. They come pretty much off the cuff and are meant to be not fantastic.
Yeah.
They're just to give you a little glimpse or a glimmer into the,
Yeah.
the possibility that we're serious.
Possibilities are endless.
Yeah. So
Do you want to? Do you want to go over the second?
You know what?
complaint?
I appreciate that. The
Yeah,
drink
sure.
is 5248, and thank you for all of your.
Hey, they're listening.
No, but the thing is, the fact that they decided to reach out means something, and I appreciate it.
Exactly.
So, complaint number 2 from Pink Pandas.
Pandas. There are a couple Z's in
Yeah.
pandas.
Yeah, I guess they make people go to sleep. So, if you want to be taken seriously as a podcast, you need to stop having so many issues with pronouncing words. Just try to be helpful, or just trying to be helpful. That's on purpose that I did
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Peace.
Hey, pronunciation is key here at Truth Beer Pod.
I also love that they put peace. See,
They're being friendly. They're being like, hey, I don't mean to offend anyone with these, but do better.
Yeah.
Do better.
And I love that because in retail, many times when you go to leave a message and it goes something like the answer machine goes something like, and thank you and have a blessed day. Sometimes when they call back with the response to whatever message you were leaving, doesn't go necessarily the way Jesus would have said it. So,
Yeah,
but anyways,
yeah. Hey, so
it happens. It's all right.
the last complaint that we got
Surprising.
is very interesting. I'm surprised that this was not brought to us directly and
mean,
was
'cause,
instead. Yeah. So this complaint is from Newbert Report. And you guys know that we love the Newbert Report.
We do.
They are the best sports puck, sports ball, craft beer tasting podcast in
Canada.
In
Yeah.
Canada land.
Yeah.
But apparently they're upset with a couple of the things that we're doing. So this is from Newbert Report. We're not listening again until you get some Labatt or Collective Arts beers on your show. America's craft beer sucks. S-U-X is how it's spelled.
Wow.
P.S. This is Duff.
Okay. So I'll make it my business is to find some Labatts.
All right, yeah, and I mean we've been asking.
I mean, if that's what they're
VCs
asking for, we
Collective
can
Arts.
do that.
Yeah, I mean we're trying.
That's easy. We can take
do
care
it.
of that
we
for
can
you.
do that. So
I mean,
but,
we didn't need to come at us that hard, but that's
No,
okay. We'll get some Labatt.
That's all right. That's all right though. I mean, it is what it is.
And I think overall for, how many episodes, how many weeks in are we here?
This is episode 40.
40.
So 40 episodes in, not counting our test episodes that we did not publish.
Not counting the 0.5s.
Or the 0.5s, yeah. Or any of the bonus episodes.
Right, or any of the bonus episodes.
Oh, speaking of, I am sorry.
Oh.
I meant to look this up before I got here, and I did not. I may have.
Uh-oh, do you have breaking news?
I may have breaking news.
All right, everybody, step back. Julia might have breaking news.
We shall see if I can click the right areas on my phone screen.
Oh, she's smiling, giggling.
We have passed 3,000 downloads.
All right, how about us?
And again, that's with the bonuses, the 0.5, so that's the same people potentially downloading up to 3 episodes a week.
Yeah.
But still, that's freaking awesome. We are at 3,006 all-time downloads.
Well, thank you,
for Truth
everybody.
Beer
Thank you,
and
everybody. Thank
Consequences.
you, everybody who supports us, and helps us and allows us the time to come and do this, and not, understands the patience involved. Like my family, my wife, and thank you for all the support, all of you out there.
Right, absolutely. My family, just everyone. Huge shout out to producer David is like serenading us with Queen right now.
Yeah, I hope everybody can hear the song in the back. I truly appreciate the
or not, because I don't want YouTube to be like, you can't. Not that we're monetizable as is on YouTube. But
I think we're monetizable.
Yeah, we still need some follows, so please follow us on YouTube.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Please do that. And thank you to everybody. Truly appreciate your time, your listenership, your comments, your complaints. To keep doing it.
Absolutely,
keep, liking, sharing the show. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring producer Ben over here.
Yes.
And
I do want to say a huge shout out to Jason from Higher Gravity for listening to our show. We definitely appreciate. There goes the pronunciations that Pink Pandas was talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with Marco's bullshit and my bullshit.
And not just on the podcast, but also
outside of it.
When I'm at your bar.
Yeah. And thank you for correcting us on North Side and how it is a part of the West Side. It is a community of the West Side. It is not its own. It is not in the North Side. Okay. It is North Side. And go Liverpool.
All right.
Throw that in there because we are a sports podcast. Producer Ben is here. We have producer David here. Thank you, everyone, so much for all of your support. As Marco has just said, if you like what we're doing, like, subscribe, share, review, all that good stuff. Follow us at Truth Beer Pod on social media. Email us, truthbeerpod@gmail.com. Send your complaints to Outraging Hop on Twitter. Truthbeerpod.com to support us monetarily. YouTube.com. Find us, support us. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Thanks to another amazing week. 3,000 downloads. Congratulations, Marco.
Congratulations, Julia.
And
let's do this next week.
Let's do this again next week. It'll be a great time.
It will be.
We'll see ya.
Bye.